What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, I want to talk about Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. Before I get into um, my details of the fight, let me just say, people, boxing fans, people who love boxing, you know, we acknowledge certain things because we just understand how people feel, and a lot of times you have to take certain energy and expose it for what it is. Okay, um, before this fight, and you have the right to like who you want, to cheer for who you want. Before this fight, I said I thought that Shakur Stevenson was going to destroy him. He was going to completely outclass him. And he was going to make it look easy. Okay, that's exactly what he did. Now you had a lot of people. Oh, Oscar's gonna do this. He's too strong. Yo, Eddie Reynoso. Yo, he's the best trainer out there, and he's gonna do this. He's gonna do that. And okay, cool, no problem. My interest is not to debate with you about anything. You have your opinion, I have mine. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If the fight doesn't happen the way I see it, so be it. Or the way I think it's gonna play out, vice versa. There's nothing to I told you no. But let me say this. It's so funny how before this fight, Oscar Valdez was a great fighter. He's a great champion. Man, people not trying to give him his credit. Yo, that guy it should be on the pound for pound list. He's this, he's that. And all of a sudden, when he loses the fight, I'm seeing, oh man, Eddie Reynoso got to learn. You can't train everybody like Canelo. Everybody's not Canelo. Oh, it's Eddie Reynoso's fault. Oh, Shakur Stevenson, should he be fighting at this weight class? He's too big. Oh man, you know what? Shakur Stevenson. Oh, congratulations, you beat a fighter that's limited. Oh, everything all of a sudden. Oh, Oscar Valdez is overrated anyway. He's really not that good because, blah blah blah. Let me say this: Oscar Valdez tried to do the best he could do. In a losing effort, at least he was throwing punches, trying to get in. He was trying to, do certain things. Yo, Shakur Stevenson was nullifying what he was doing, but Oscar was trying. Now, if Dillian White had to make that kind of effort before he got knocked out, we could at least say, hey, nah, he left it in the ring though. He went out there, he took it to him, he tried to get behind that jab. Didn't just keep doing the same exact thing that wasn't working over and over. It's not like Tyson Fury had to use all his tools. He just beat him with the same basic shit. Stay outside the jab, jab, left hook, jab, hook to the body. Jab, right, just same basic things and just keeping distance. Okay. Oscar Valdez was trying. Okay. In the third round, you see when he keeps clapping his hands together and he's come on, come on. Every time he did that, if Shakur Stevenson starts throwing punches, he did nothing. So I'm watching him at that point and I'm saying, okay, he's trying to psych himself. He's trying to, and he kept doing it throughout the fight. Pacquiao used to do that, clap his hands like, okay, let's go. But the thing was, Shakur Stevenson was sharp. He was responsible on defense. He picked them apart. He just did it the whole night. And it got to the point where it just got easy. He just started landing everything, like damn near everything. Oscar Valdez, he was trying. Okay, he was trying. But he realized, damn, Shakur Stevenson is not, he's nullifying my shit. Like, no matter what I try to do, he's not letting me get to him. Tim Bradley, commentators, they try to hype a fight up. A lot of times and the punch didn't even land. If you notice, towards the end of the fight, the later rounds, the crowd wasn't as loud as they was earlier for the same punches that Oscar Valdez was throwing but missing. It was the fact that he was throwing punches. He was moving his hands. He was trying to get in. He was literally like jogging in to cut the ring off, try to get close and cut the distance and all of that. And he was trying. He just wasn't good enough. And if you notice, they wasn't cheering those efforts anymore because what they thought were punches landing, and even just from him, like I said, just because he was letting his hands go, they realized later those punches are not even landing. You saw Shakur Stevens' face at the end of the fight, right? So he wasn't getting hit with those shots. It was shots that were clear misses. And Tim Bradley, ooh, good right hand. Oh, nice right hand. Oh, and You know, they're trying to hype the fight up. Oscar Valdez doesn't have to hang his head down. I feel like, everybody want to win, and I get that. But it's not like he didn't go in there and try to fight hard and win, because he did. Again, it just wasn't enough. If he would have been tentative, just not doing anything, just laying back and just trying to outbox a guy that he cannot outbox, then everyone would have known. Like you would have saw it, and that would have been a stupid strategy. He had to get in, and he had to try to get close, and he was getting tagged with shots. And this is what people don't understand. I say this all the time, from these damn commentators and so-called expert commentators and analysis, fight analysis, and all this. These guys, when you say he should be doing this, he's not doing that. I don't understand why because he's getting hit, and those shots hurt more than you guys understand. That's the reason why they're not just rushing in the way you say that you say that they should. Especially when you guys were fighters at one time and you didn't do the same thing that you're sitting back saying right now. So when a guy is not letting you do it, you have to plan B, plan C, plan D. But if that guy is a better chess player than you, nobody's saying just because you have a backup plan that it's going to actually work. But at least employ it, because you're not getting any success doing the same things over and over. But it just goes to show you how good of a boxer Shakur Stevenson is. I knew Oscar Valdez' best chance was to try to rough him up, get in, come in fast, and try to close the distance. He literally was jogging in. More fighters need to learn how to do that. He was doing it. It just didn't work. But it was the best chance he had, because trust me, if he stood on the outside and just tried to outslick and outbox, outcraft Shakur Stevenson, he would have got beat worse. And it would have just looked so foolish on his behalf. Don't go blame the 80 Ray No-So. Don't go all of a sudden now, Oscar Valdez is a bum and he's overrated. No, don't do all of that. No. If he would have won that fight, all we would have heard was, yes, Mexico wins. Yes, another one for us. Yeah, that's what we would have heard. There was a few fans, because, I watched the fight, and then I went online and started looking at what people were saying about the fight. And you had some people that were saying things like, I'm going to stand by my people no matter what, and he'll be back, and whatever. And people even made it a race thing. Oh, all you black guys are celebrating because a black guy finally beat one of the worst Mexican. I'm sitting up here like, you guys are really like ignorant. Why make this a race thing? It has nothing to do with race. Now, it's funny because it's always, for some reason, I never hear this directed at white Americans. I always hear this directed at black Americans. Let me tell you guys something. Filipino fighters support Filipino fighters. Even if they like other fighters, they support they're not going to go against a Filipino fighter. Okay? Mexican fans, they're going to support their Mexican fighter. Puerto Rican fans are going to support their Puerto Rican fighter. Russian fans are going to support their Russian fighter. So if black Americans are cheering for black American fighters, why do you care, and why is that an issue? It was so ignorant. And I said to one person, I said, you saying black people are celebrating because a black fighter finally beat one of the worst. What you mean finally? But two, it sounds more to me like you, being Mexican, are more sour and bitter because a black fighter beat one of the best Mexican fighters that's out there right now. That's what it sounds like. You're bringing up race. What does race have to do? All I saw was two guys go in the ring. Somebody had to win. Somebody had to lose. Possible draw. Bottom line is, the guy that you wanted to lose won. So now all of a sudden, Oscar Valdez is overrated and he's a bum. Stop all of that. Anyway, I salute both fighters for going in there and doing what they had to do. Now, as for Shakur Stevenson, now that he's unified the situation, he's unified the titles. The situation may be that he dropped the titles and go up to 135. Maybe he stays at 130 and defend his titles. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people now going, damn, Shakur versus Tank. Shakur versus Haney, Shakur versus Garcia, you know, Shakur versus Lomachenko. That that will bring more interest back to the 135 division because Tiafimo went up and he's no longer there. Now Tank fighting at 140. It's like, does he stay there? Does he go to 135? Like, we don't know if he's going up and down. What is he going to do? Like, what is Tank going to do? Is he going to, after Raleigh Romero, what does he do? So we don't know. But it was interesting. Now, there were a lot of fights I could talk about, but, I'm going to cut this video short in a minute. But I want to just say, look, Serrano and Taylor, man, they had a solid fight. I'm not going to make a long talk about, chat about what they did, but let me say this, because a lot of people are saying one thing and they're split on, take nationality out of it, take country out of it, all that bullshit that doesn't mean anything. Like I said, I'm focused on the two fighters. I'm not sitting there trying to lean towards nobody. This is the way I saw this fight. I thought it was a good fight. It was a great fight. The two of them just went in there and like they went at it. Now, I felt like Katie Taylor won more rounds. And I felt like Serrano was hurting her. Like you could see like she was hurting her with shots. For anybody that says the fight could have went either way, it could have been a draw, that's the thing for me. If I feel like there was no clear winner, I'd have to say draw. But I felt like Katie Taylor did more overall in terms of winning rounds. It reminded me of Shane Mosley versus Oscar De La Hoya, where, they had De La Hoya up on rounds, but Shane landed more punches. So it's like, what do the judges like? That's what it came down to. So they're talking about doing it again. That fight, that's a fight I feel like that warrants a rematch. That fight warrants a rematch. But I don't think there was a robbery. I'm just kind of on the fence when it comes to that it could have went either way thing. Because if you say it could have went either way, but then you explain how this person won, okay, it's one thing for me to say, in my opinion, I think this is why they gave it to her, why they didn't give it to the other fighter. But for me personally, if I'm sitting there going, man, I just didn't see a clear winner, I would have to say draw. So I feel like there was no robbery. But I also feel like if you got more rounds in the bag than your opponent, but if you have more rounds and you outlanded them, that's my thing. But if you have more rounds in the bag, but you landed less punches, it's one of them weird things. But I just don't feel like it was a robbery. That's me personally. I'm just adding my 2 cents because a lot of people are saying controversy. Then you got people, giving their opinion. And like I said, a lot of that, you don't know how much of it. I'm sure a lot of it is, people going for their countrymen. And then you got people that's just, or which one they like the most out between the two fighters. I think they both did a solid job. But I did think, for me, I just felt like, I think Katie, I felt like she did enough to pull off the win. That's how I felt. Wasn't like she blew her out the water. No, wasn't no wash. But Katie Taylor, to me, I feel like the right person got their hand raised. But if they would have called it a draw, I would have felt like, okay, yeah, because that fight was close. And the thing is, even though she won more rounds, it's not like it was just clear, crystal clear, like, oh yeah, she won that round. She would know. When because you don't know how the judges are scoring the fight, so you're watching it and you're judging it at the same time, but you're not sitting there counting punch for punch. You're trying to enjoy the fight, but at the same time you're looking at who you feel like is winning. And honestly, it was kind of like, I don't know, but I'm watching it and I'm like, some rounds I feel like Katie might have been edging, and this is a fight that I had to watch 2 or 3 times. I watched it 4 times actually. And I felt like, okay, I felt like Katie, even after the first time I watched it, I felt like I thought Katie won more rounds, so I feel like the right person got their hand raised. But it was a solid fight. And we need to stop calling people bums because they lose a fight. We need to stop sitting up here. You're praising this fighter 1 minute, then the next minute, oh, he's a bum, he's this and this. My thing is, it takes certain fighters to exploit the limitations of another fighter, and people start to say, but only that fighter could do that. No, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Once people see what you can do, you know what? It's just like this. It's just like a bully is bullying you, taking your money. You're scared to fight this guy. You're scared to defend yourself. And then one day, somebody else whooped that bully's ass. And then you realize, I'm not scared of him. I could beat him. He just beat the... Then you realize you had it in you all that time. Or maybe you finally decide to fight back and you realize, I could have did this a long time ago. Right? So once a person has been exploited, and, now don't get me wrong, yeah, you have to have the ability to get the shots off, but you don't have to have a certain stature. You don't have to be a certain height, for you to successfully find a way to exploit this person's weaknesses. This is where your creative juices come in. You have a team, you guys have camp, and you train to fight this person. So, yeah, I mean, that was a solid fight though. It was a solid fight. And yeah, we gotta stop with this nonsense, these excuses, and people are gonna do it regardless. But yeah, we gotta, not focus on the things that people are saying to where we let it affect our judgment on how we see a fight, because a lot of times you get so sick of hearing about one particular fighter, like, they make it seem like this fighter is God, like this fighter is like to the point where, and they're doing basic shit to win a fight. Like they weren't even pushed or challenged in this fight. I saw Dean White, for example, saying how, he said it was a 50-50 fight. They were going back and forth. Tyson was landing shots, Dillian White was landing his shots to the body. Bro, he landed 4 freaking body shots. He barely landed anything. How is this a 50-50? Okay, Dean White is looking out for his brother, making up excuses to try to use those Jedi mind tricks. He's going into his Yoda mode now to try to make you think, try to explain to you what you saw. No, we know what we saw. It was a wash. It was one-sided. It was a boring fight. Nothing was really going on. And Tyson Fury just looked like, okay, this is going to be an easy night. You watch the fight again. If you didn't watch it again, watch it again. It was a basic, nothing special was going on. And Dillian White didn't know how to get in. Again, you see the way Oscar Valdez realized Shakur Stevenson was just slick and sharp. He wasn't running from him. He was in front of him. But when he would back up and move, the only time you saw him run on purpose was the last round, last few seconds. That was just to rub it in his face, But at the end of the day, he ran in and he was trying to get it. This is what I'm talking about. You can't just keep tick, tick, tick. Like we watched Deontay Wilder lose rounds, and he'll sacrifice losing rounds and then catch you slipping and catch you with that right hand. Sometimes fighters do that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Dillian White was going to have an uphill battle the whole night because of that reach and the fact that Fury wouldn't let him get in. So when we look at fights and we start analyzing what this guy can do versus what that guy can do, you especially when you've been knocked out, knockout losses especially, because what ends up happening, is you end up feeling like you start to believe that, okay, I lost that fight to this guy, but these other guys are not going to beat me. And you actually underestimate these guys because you can't see them, they don't have his ability. How's he going to beat me? Povetkin didn't have his height. Povetkin didn't have his reach. He knocks you out. AJ's not as tall or as long. He knocks you out. So, you know what I mean? Look at what happened with Smith and Virgil Ortiz the other day. They were, hey man, nah, Virgil got this. I'm sorry, Jesse Vargas. They like, nah, Jesse got this. They people thought Jesse had this in the bag. Nah, he got this. Nah, Jesse is tested. Look what happened to him. So you can't underestimate anybody, man. You have to, there's fighters that we know, like, look, okay, lightning can strike once, but we're talking about just overall looking at a fighter. I would never go into a fight. If I fought a guy that was 0-50, I'm gonna fight that guy like he was 50-0. I'm not gonna go in there and everybody beat him. I ain't even gonna no. Then you go in there and half-ass train and half-ass focus, and then this guy wind up, even if he lose, but make you look bad. Now you're embarrassed, like, damn, this dude should not still be in this ring with me. He should have been out a long time ago, right? So we just don't. For me, I'm just not into this whole, people make up debates and they clickbait, put up titles, just to get people to call in, because they know people are going to tune in and argue. So they're fine with having 500 comments of angry people, which I don't know why people get angry. I don't know how it affects you, what someone feel about somebody else, but I'm just saying overall, it's like, you got to look at things for what it is. And if you understand, only thing's supposed to happen, two guys into a ring, two women into a ring, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, possible draw. Simple. Once you start making these excuses, though, and this is one of the things, those comments control the way other people see certain fighters, because you keep talking about the issue as if it was something more than what it was. Plain and simple, we saw, two good fights. There was more fights that I could talk about, but I'm end it with that, with these two. And yeah, I would be looking forward to see Serrano versus Taylor too. People were saying, oh, it should be a rematch between Stevenson and Valdez, but why? The fight wasn't close enough. I mean, it was, what warrants a rematch? Everybody says, oh, I'm sure I'll beat him in the rematch, but if you said that before the first fight, and you didn't get it done, and it wasn't even a close fight, it wasn't a 50-50, could have went either way. No, it was a clear wash. One guy dominated and made it look easy. What's the purpose for a rematch? So at the end of the day, just be glad that we got some solid fights. We've been craving for this because we you get a lot of fights, and the fight either don't live up to the hype, or the fight just never happens. And the majority of the fights you want to see, they're fighting on Twitter, social media. So I thought it was a good night of boxing, and hey man, we were entertained. I know I was. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.